Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And we're taking a break from the Turbo Hemi Ford to work on the 51 because we got to get this thing ready for Cleetus and Cars Indy, which is in 2 weeks from today, actually. So that was our first burnout competition ever. Was last year at Cleetus and Cars Indy, and this thing did really well. But I ended up blowing a radiator hose that it sucked a bunch of water into the intake, and ended up just shutting me down. So it was a good burnout, but we got better last year. The next one, we took like second or third place, I don't remember. And then the last burnout we did was the Holley MoParty, and we freaking won. Like, we went out there and we killed it. So I want to go to Cleetus and Cars Indy, and I want to win, but we got to prep this thing, do some test burnouts, and make sure everything's right. It's not a huge thing we got to do, but we got some stuff to do. So starting off from last year at Cleetus and Cars Indy, this thing's gone through a bunch of upgrades. It's a new motor because we ended up killing the other motor when a head gasket went and took out bearings. So new motor, and this one is a lot fresher, lower miles. I stuck a comp cam in it. It's got way bigger injectors. It's on more boost. So this thing's making way more power than it did when we were there last year. So I think we're good there. Bigger clutch, but we've got some stuff we need to address. And that was, we haven't touched this thing since we went to Glamis and we were riding the dunes. And out of Glamis, we noticed that the wastegate is cracked. You can kind of see it down there. It's all black. So we were leaking exhaust out of there, which cut our boost numbers down. So I just went into the boost controller and I basically pegged it out. So I got to weld that back up, and that'll fix that. But then I got to go into the tune and turn the boost controller back down because I don't want to see like 25 plus. If I see like 17 pounds, that's about where I want to be. And then we also had an issue out of Glamis with the idle air control that died. So what I ended up doing was putting zip ties around here to just artificially bump the idle because I didn't have the right torque bit for this idle adjustment. So we got to put a new idle air control on it, weld the wastegate, and that kind of takes care of the engine side and the power side of it. So then we've got to do some cooling upgrades. I definitely fixed it. Idle's dead on now. It's amazing what a new idle air control will do because it idles perfect. Alright, so for cooling upgrades, like this thing doesn't overheat normally. Like it ran Glamis, no issues. But during burnout competitions, man, it gets to like 270, 280. I think we pulled off the MoParty at 240 and that was like a minute and a half burnout. So I don't really have room to change the radiator fan setup. So what I got was a little 7-gallon RV freshwater tank, an RV water pump, and then I got these kind of sprayer tips. These are for like an industrial or like an agricultural sprayer. So my plan is we'll mount this up front. It'll be removable because we don't need it all the time. And then I'll mount this permanently underneath with all the water lines. And I'll probably trigger it off the Holley that when it hits a certain temperature, it kicks this pump on and just douses the radiator with water. Just sprays water right on the front of the radiator. And that should keep it cool because, like I said, this thing doesn't overheat normally. Like, it's fine going down the road, sitting in traffic. I mean, it'll sit in idle all day in stop and go traffic in 90 degrees. And it'll get to like maybe 190, 195. It's just, you know, when I'm cramming 17 pounds of boost through it. And for Cleetus and Cars Indy, I'm really hoping I can do a 4th gear burnout. I want to start in 3rd and go to 4th. And if this thing's screaming at 15 pounds in 4th gear at 100 mile an hour wheel speed, it's going to build some heat. And I've got a dually. I've got 4 tires to blow. So I figure 7 gallons of fresh water with 2 sprayers, trigger to come on. That should keep it nice and cool. So some small upgrades we got to do. And then we're going to go do a test burnout, a 4th gear test burnout. Hopefully not break the trans, because I am kind of worried about the input shaft. But we'll see how it goes. This thing should be a beast. I want to win. We're shooting to win. Alright, for the water tank, we got this sweet homemade old toolbox that I've been wanting to put on this truck just to kind of store some stuff. So what I did was hid the water tank in here, so I don't have this ugly water tank sitting on the bed, and then I'll just throw a ratchet strap on it, run it over the top, and then this will be totally removable. So in the end over here, I've already drilled a hole and plumbed it down. So I just got to transfer that hole to the bed, drill it through, and then run the line down underneath, and we can move on to mounting the water pump. Okay, so the box is all mounted, and then down here the hose runs down through and feeds out the bottom and runs up. And it comes up to this RV water pump right here, which this is a 55 PSI, 3 gallon per minute, just like regular old RV water pump. And the reason I did it is because it's the exact same one in there. So if that dies, I have a spare with me. Because my plan is I'll leave this permanently mounted, leave the whole system in place, and when we're not using it, we'll just pull the water tank off the bed, pull the box out, and that should work pretty well. So I got this run up, and I just got to snake this all the way up through and then figure out where to mount my sprayers. Alright, so I got 5 gallons of water in the tank. I've got some jumper wires here to the pump because I need to figure out where to mount my nozzles, but I don't know how they spray, so I'm probably going to get soaked doing this, but I'm going to jumper the pump, see what kind of spray pattern I get out of this, and then decide where I'm going to mount them. So let's see how this works. Whoa. Oh, that's going to be perfect. Hell yeah. I think I'm just going to shoot them straight and they'll just shoot across the radiator and then the fan will suck it through. That should work perfect. Yeah, and it just used a little bit of water. So I think this will work perfect. I'm just going to mount them up so they just like spray across the front. The fan will pull it through. We'll have a water system. So there it is. It's just soaking it in there. It's a really good spray, and then it's kind of blowing through here too, so yeah, you can see it spitting through there now, like it's soaking the radiator down. That should keep it nice and cool. Alright, so for the wiring, I do have an open input here, so I just called it water spray, and basically wired it in with one trigger. Coolant temp above 200 degrees. It's getting all kind of blurry there. Maybe if I zoom this way. Yep, and it'll deactivate when it gets below 195. So this should work pretty well. It'll have the Holley control it. It won't be on all the time. It'll only be on when it needs it. This thing has a 160 T-stat in it, so driving around normally, it'll just run the fan. If it starts to get really hot, it'll crank up and kick this in. And then also I went in to the boost controller, because what I had done was basically thrown a ton of dome pressure on up here to try to make up for that leaky wastegate. So I've got it back down to 10 pounds, which I think 10 pounds, it should make 16 or 17 PSI, which should be good. I also went and took the two-step back up to 4,500 RPM. So I just got to go in and wire up that input to, put that input into where it needs to go, put a relay and a fuse, and we should be all set, and the Holley will control this. So it's going to work out pretty sweet, I think. Alright, so I had this thing on the two-step earlier, and it just skyrockets in boost instantly. Like, it makes more than 10 pounds in about a second and a half. And I've been playing with the tune, trying to turn it down, and nothing seems to be working. So I pulled the wastegate, and it turns out the wastegate is bad. If I put pressure on the bottom, I get pressure right out the top. So the diaphragm must finally be shot in this thing. So we finally killed our $35 wastegate. But it's seen a lot of abuse. It used to be black, and now it's orange from heat. But I've got the exact same one on the Ford, so I'm going to go steal the one off the Ford to make this thing run, and then I'll back order one for the Ford. But we'll replace the wastegate, and then this thing should be ready to go do some burnouts. Alright, so I got the wastegate swapped out, and it's still pretty rowdy, but I got it set to be about 7-8 pounds on the two-step. So I'll fire it up, and you can hear that. It sounds, I think it's just the new cam is making this thing way, way crazier. I don't know if it's still blowing fireballs, but it's popping like crazy. So I'll fire it up, and you can hear it. But this is like 7-ish, like 6 to 8 pounds roughly on the two-step. Just wastegate. That's like 6 pounds right there. That should be perfect. Alright, time to go put gas in this thing because I have no idea how much fuel's in it. That'd be a good shakedown for the wastegate. Alright, found my boost culprit. Down in there. Right there. That silver and blue fitting is my boost line to the wastegate. Down here, and it's popped off. So that makes sense. I gotta put that back on, and then we should be good for boost. Alright. Let's see how she works. Rear brakes are off. Two-step is on. Start the third. And my two-step isn't working for some reason. That is very, very weird. Why did I lose my two-step? working, but it doesn't matter. Alright, let's give it a test. I hooked up to it with the laptop. I went in there just to check to see if it was working, and it's working now. So I don't know if I got a loose wire somewhere or something, but for now I'm not going to worry about it. And that's going to wrap up this video, because this truck is it's ready for Cleetus and Cars. We're going to go down there, and I hope like hell we can win, because we're sure as hell going to try. Thanks for watching.